Hey everyone, this is Andrew from Park Rovers, and welcome to Park Rovers Live. So I'm Andrew, and joining me are Dustin and Micah. And since this is our first time streaming, let's do some quick intros here. And I guess I'll start. So I'm from North Carolina, and I grew up in Massachusetts. I love all things theme parks, including Busch Gardens, Disney, even Six Flags. I'm a pass holder at most of them. I'm a big Boston sports fan. I love the Boston Red Sox mostly, and I'm a UX designer for a tech company. So how about you, Dustin?
Hi, I'm Dustin. Currently living in the Baltimore area. I'm an educator here, but I did grow up in the Great Mitten State of Michigan. So hit up Cedar Point a lot as a kid. Now I feel like I live in the perfect epicenter of like 7 parks within a 3-hour drive of me. Go to Hershey a ton, go to King's Dominion, Busch Gardens, make our way to Disney and Universal every other year or so. Yeah, that's a little bit about. Oh, hit my 200th different roller coaster credit this last fall. So, yeah, little personal achievement.
All right, and you, Micah?
Hey everybody, I'm Micah. I'm originally from Tennessee. When I was in college, I discovered the Walt Disney World College program and made my way down, and I've been a theme park junkie. Actually, I was a theme park junkie before that. With my dad and I taking trips to Cedar Point every summer, spending several weeks there. And we had Opryland, which was used to be a theme park in Nashville, which was all we had, but it was great. It was it was what we had, and we were season pass holders there. We were season pass holders at Cedar Point. And that kind of grew my love for theme parks. And getting to work at Walt Disney World was my dream come true. I met my wife when I was on the college program. Did a college program, did an advanced internship, both in the land, on the boat ride, and in the greenhouses. Went back, finished college, came back down and worked full time as a cast member for a couple of years. And my wife and I at the time decided we wanted to make a move. She wanted to move back home. So now we live in the suburbs of Philly. We're huge Philly sports fans. I'm a huge hockey fan, love the Flyers. Eagles are breaking our heart this season, but they did win a game today, though. So we're hopeful they're going to get that wild card spot. We go to Hershey a lot. We're season pass holders at Hershey. We've got Dorney Park right around the corner. Six Flags Great Adventures, also about an hour drive from us. So we've got a lot of great parks just right in our area. And we do make trips to Disney 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5, 6 times a year. So we're huge on theme parks, and and that's why we're here. So.
Wow, I think you make it to Disney World more than I do. I think I go maybe 6 times a year, but that's.
Well, I feel like we're obligated to go because we have annual passes, and we're DVC owners. So if you don't go, you don't use it. It's just like, why even bother?
That's true. That's true. Well, I think with that, let's kind of make our way to the land pavilion tonight. If you can't tell, we're talking living with the land, the holiday overlay tonight. And Micah, you're kind of our resident expert on the land, so I'm going to let you kind of get started. You can tell your story a little bit about why you're the expert.
Right. So, like I said, when I went down and did my college program, they stuck me on Future World West attractions, and I don't say they stuck me. That's where I landed, and I'm happy I landed there. My main pavilion was the land. I got trained on boats, and I got trained on, at the time, the Circle of Life Theater. It was really daunting being a young college kid, never having worked in a theme park. Your first day, they throw you a script and they say, here, you got to memorize this. And I was like, wait, what? So that was just the spiel for the Circle of Life. Then the next day comes and they're like, hey, here's a 30-page spiel. You have to memorize that in 3 days. And I was just like, whoa, but we did it. And so at the time, and this was in 2004, at the time, the land boat ride was actually a live spiel attraction. So there was a cast member on every boat with a microphone. We had to memorize the spiel. It was written by Walt Disney Imagineering, and we had to repeat it verbatim. It wasn't, we weren't a Jungle Cruise. We weren't a Kilimanjaro Safaris where you could kind of ad lib and make stuff up. Like, this was a specific script based on things that were passing by in the greenhouses. We didn't get Kilimanjaro safaris. I know they get to pick like certain animals depending on what's around. Like we had a set deal and we had to read it exactly as it was. And there were people, believe it or not, there were people that didn't do it, and they got caught. So I was a boat captain for probably about 7 months. Did opening shifts, closing shifts, middle shifts. I had days where I worked 8 hours and never made it off boats. And you have to, you're talking 4 trips an hour. So upwards of 30 to 40 trips in a shift, and you get tired of talking. But it was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed being there. So when I went to college, my degree is actually in agriculture sciences. So while I was there, I got to know the people, the full-time staff back in the greenhouses, and realized, hey, they have an internship back there too. And it's still a college program, but it's considered a professional internship. So I applied and got accepted to that. So I ended my college program on the boat ride at the probably beginning of January and transitioned right over into the greenhouses. So the greenhouse you see pictured here is the very first one that you go through after you come out of the show scenes. It's called the Tropics Greenhouse, and that's where I worked for 6 months. I did everything in that greenhouse: watered plants, dug up plants, dug in the sand, buried irrigation, trimmed things, just kept it looking neat and pretty for the guests. And it was probably one of the most unique experiences of my life. But it was a blast. I loved doing it. And I would go back and do it again. Matter of fact, sometimes I've been tempted to go back to college just so I can go back and be an intern again.
All right, I got questions. So
good. I have questions too, but
I guess, well, there's so much to unpack there. But when you're taking care of the greenhouse, is that all done overnight, or what times of day?
No, we worked a typical, first shift, like 7 to 2, 3 o'clock. So all the work that you see that is done in those greenhouses is all done during normal business hours. Now, obviously, the park opens at 9, and we were in there a couple hours before, and that would give us time. So Disney's very big on show. They like everything to look a certain way. So you would go out, leaves would fall, dirt would blow, sand would get messed up. So we would have to go out and just, do a general rake and clean, pick up all the dirt and the plant junk that fell overnight.
So you're prettifying at that time.
Yeah, it was I wasn't the prettiest raker in the world. I got out there, and so we had hard rakes. Like if you've ever seen the rakes they use on like a baseball field, where they push the dirt back and forth and just kind of even it out. We had hard rakes, and then we just had regular like metal leaf rakes. Well, I was a metal leaf raker kind of guy, but when you're walking in the sand, you can't leave footprints behind, so you got to rake behind you as you walk around. And as some of the people, they were like really into like pretty raking, making it like feng shui, and I was just like, nope, I just want to erase my footprints and move on with my day. But sometimes you'd have a leaf blower and you just kind of skirt the top of the sand just to blow the junk out of it. Very, very Disney-esque, very, let's make it look really nice and neat and pretty for when the guests come through on the boats. So that, it started in the morning, and a typical day would just be coming in, doing the morning meeting, getting out, making sure your greenhouse is nice and clean before the first guest came around. When the boat started at 9, and then there, we had projects where we were, today we're going to go out and we're going to cut down a banana tree, or not trees, but we're going to cut down a banana plant, and or we're going to remove some of this or do some of that. I mean, there was always a project going on, and not necessarily in your greenhouse, but sometimes other greenhouses had projects going on where we would go and we would help them after ours is all cleaned up. So.
All right. So now my first question was, how much are you driving the boats versus how much is it just like on a track and you're controlling speed? Like, I'm curious.
Oh, you don't, when I was a boat captain, there was no driving the boat. So in the canal, there are pumps, and they pump the water around like pirates.
Gotcha.
So you just stand there and the boats just move. There's no controlling anything.
I don't have the love of living with the land. I've been on it a couple times, but I am the novice here. So.
They move at a constant speed.
We got to kick you off now, Dustin. It's been
Nice.
nice having you.
I
I
enjoy the ride.
Are we ready to keep moving?
Yeah, so that first photo was taken, like I said, in the Tropics Greenhouse. That's actually, that one was taken on the island side. So someone was actually standing over there. These are some really unique shots that we're going to look at. They were taken by the full-time greenhouse staff, which I want to tell them thank you if you're listening. Les and Chen, thank you for letting me borrow these from you guys and use them. So this is coming out of the last show scenes in the barn where the 3 screens are on your left, and you're actually making the turn to go into the Tropics Greenhouse. So you can see they've lined the walls with multicolored Christmas lights, which adds a really nice touch when you're kind of going through that tunnel. It gives it a nice ambiance.
Yeah, I love it. This was set up so I didn't get to see the full experience this year, but they set up the lights right before, so I did get to see this part. And this show is called Merry and Bright Nights, I believe, is the official name, right, Micah? Yeah. Okay, we'll keep moving.
And again, this is sort of like a photo boat tour as you would take if you were on the boats. So we're pulling into Tropics, and you can see they've got on the left, they've got just some nice white lights wrapped around. It looks like, I can't tell if that's a jackfruit tree or not. On the right, they've got some really cool LEDs kind of like pushed down just below the level of the sand. Now, to peel back the curtain a little bit, they did, a lot of this stuff is probably obtainable anywhere where we'd be able to get it. A lot of it was purchased from Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, some online retailers. So none of this stuff is special made. It's just things they found that really worked and really looked nice. And like I said, those lights in the sand, I think they really do well as you float along.
That is easily the coolest part of these shots.
That is very
so far to me. Like that, it looks cool. It looks like otherworldly, but it's very much grounded in reality. I love it.
Now, I don't know. The one thing I don't know about those is are they a single operation, or are they connected to a wire that's buried? I hate to say it, but if I was the intern that had to bury that wire, I probably wouldn't be very happy about it, because that's a lot of digging around in the sand. I mean, and as an intern, that's all you do. You get on your hands and knees and you dig and you dig and you dig, and sand follows you around everywhere you go.
But you don't like to rake either, so.
I was very quick. My greenhouse looked nice, but I didn't do like a rock garden or anything. I wasn't feng shui in it.
All right. Yeah, we keep making our way.
Yeah, again, we're circling around, and you can see along the edge there, the left edge, where it looks like someone's taken a hard rake and just kind of done a light drag around. It looks nice, and it really kind of creates a level for those LEDs, those colored LEDs that are kind of buried in the level of the sand there. So
I don't know the right time to ask this question, but I'm sure it's on everyone's mind. Did any guests in your time at the land make their way off the boat?
For a cucumber, perhaps.
A couple of times. I was on a boat, and one of my friends was on the boat behind me. And of course, when you're spieling, you're actually facing backwards. So we were coming around out of the aquacell, and somebody jumped off my friend's boat and grabbed a 9-pound lemon or cassava or something and got back on the boat and thought they were going to just get to the end and carry it off and no one's going to know. But of course, when my boat got to the dock, I was like, yo, call a manager. There's a boat coming up. A guy jumped off, and by the time they got there, they caught him, and he was probably removed from the park. But that happened more than once. It's been happening a lot longer than people think. But the only difference is that at that time, we didn't have social media and online things for everyone to go run and jump and make a big stink about it. So, I mean, that's basically what happened with the cucumber lady. It was like, oh, hey, let me jump off of a ride and video myself doing it and then post it on, which I don't know, was it TikTok or something?
Yeah, it took off on TikTok. Yeah.
But didn't she fall? She didn't fall into the water, did she?
I don't know if her foot went into the water, but she definitely came.
I know
close.
she tripped.
She didn't.
Yeah.
There's not much of a gap between the boat and the concrete, so
it was not a graceful cucumber grab.
No, it was not. And continuing the circle around, so on the right hand side, those are. So when I worked in this greenhouse, Now when you go by them, that's actually a water garden. But when I was in there, it was just sand. I always joke with them and say, if there was a water garden when I was there, you'd probably see me floating in an inner tube with a cold drink in my hand instead of working. I had pineapples planted in that structure there, but now they've got the sand emptied out. It's all water. And then on the left here, you can see too, that used to be a sand planter, and they've removed the sand and now made that a nice little water garden. And I really think I like the water gardens. I think they add a really nice touch to the overall ambiance and feel of the greenhouse. But you can see just more mood lighting. They've got some floods pointing up at some of the plants. You can see reds, some greens, some blues, and then some white Christmas lights over there on the right. So just a very, very slow, nice, relaxing ride. If you want to look at Christmas lights, and again, I say this a lot, ambiance. It's all about ambiance, and they've done a very nice job of making it something that you want to last forever.
Yeah, I mean, I love riding the land at night, regardless of these lights or not. Like, I feel like it's just usually at night there's no line at all. I mean, obviously it's one of the rides with one of the attractions with one of the shortest waits, right? With Soren right there grabbing all the people and everyone kind of doing that and then headed out of the land pavilion.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually 10, 15, maybe a half hour if it's busy. It has gotten up higher, but it's something where you can go hop in the standby line and know you're not going to spend a lot of time waiting in line, and you're going to get a good return on your investment. So
I have never waited more than 3 minutes for that.
I think the last 3 times I've been to on the Living with the Land, we've gotten first row and we've had our own boat, and there was no wait. It was walk on, and it was amazing. And I wish it was this, right? Like, I need to go back to see this in full effect again soon, because this is certainly beautiful.
Yeah, and I think the ride is actually open later now. So when I worked there, we were only open till 7. So we would take the last boat out at 7, and then it took us about 30 to 45 minutes to go back in the back and put the boats away. And then, of course, I got a lot of closing shifts. So closing shift would entail around 7:45. You would have to go stand out in front of the pavilion until 8:30, until everyone that was walking over that Future World West was closed and that they could go back to World Showcase. So we didn't get to really do a lot of night trips just because the sun was still up when the ride shut down. But occasionally, like during the holidays, we didn't have the cool Christmas lights, but we would be open till 9, and we would get to take nighttime boat tours. And I always like doing that just because I feel like it's a little bit more serene when the sun goes down and the lights are on. It gives it a little bit different feel and effect. So
yeah, I love it. I honestly don't have any of my photos because I'm usually just zoned out and relaxing on the boat.
It's very, very relaxing.
Yeah.
Now, during those rare nighttime rides, did they change the spiel for you to focus on anything differently?
It was the same. They wouldn't make just a small change like that. If they were going to make a change, it would be like a wholesale thing. So
okay.
It would, they would wait like 3 months, and then when like a season changed, they would maybe change it around. And again, it was all based on the crops that the greenhouse teams were, had out and had showcased, because sometimes they would plant stuff and it would take a couple months for it to get to the point where then we could start talking about it.
Gotcha.
As you pass by this amazing trellis, those are fluted pumpkins. They don't, I can tell you, in the land of Walt Disney World, they serve zero purpose. They probably get cut down and taken back to a compost pile somewhere. There is some purpose for them somewhere, and honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember what. But you always hear about crops from the land being taken up to restaurants. Well, fluted pumpkins have no edible value to them as far as any of those restaurants are concerned. So they're just there just because they look cool, and they do look cool.
Yeah, they look cool. Yeah, I was wondering if the jackfruit contributed to the jackfruit pot pie at this year's holiday festival or festival of the holidays.
That I don't know. It very well could have, but it's also dependent on, did they actually have a jackfruit that was ripe when they needed it to be ripe, and those things take forever. I think in the 6 months I was there, we maybe had 2 or 3, but we would cut them down, and then one of the full-time guys would open it up, and we would just sit in the break room and eat it. And they were really good. It looks like we are still circling around in Tropics.
Yep.
And I can't tell what that is there.
All right, we'll move along.
Aquacell. So they've done some trim of some of the fish tanks in here. I've spent a lot of time inside of those fish tanks because, like I said, when I didn't have really anything going on in my greenhouse, I would go to the Aquacell intern and be like, "Hey, do you need help with anything?" And she's like, "Yeah, we got to clean this tank or that tank." So we would put waders on, jump in, and start scrubbing windows or scrubbing floors. But they did what they could, and even the lights along the trim there, they had a nice little touch.
Because you are like there's stuff growing in here, so you can't alter the light cycle too much, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how fish would react to having those lights on. They probably couldn't have anything too crazy, like you said, just because they don't want them thinking it's daytime when it's not.
Right. I think a lot of aquariums are generally darker in.
Well, and that's why you see when you go through this in the daytime, it's dark in there. Those are actually open pane windows, and they've just got a black tarp just going across each one just to black it out.
Ooh. That just blew my mind. Man. Anything else on the Aquacell?
There might be a couple more photos. I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much it. No, that was it. Yeah, they just put some nice trim lights. So this is the Temperate Greenhouse. This is the greenhouse that you pull into when you pull out of the Aquacell in that long straight run. They've got some various things in here. In the past, I know this is where the 9-pound lemons have been housed. Cotton, sorghum. They showcase some agricultural crops in here. Again, not a lot of stuff that would have any edible value, in any of the restaurants anywhere. Just kind of showcasing, hey, here's how they grow. And I don't think any farmer grows like cotton or sorghum or any grains or anything in sand in a greenhouse. But again, it looks neat, and it kind of gives you an idea of what's out there. But again, they've got some nice looks like they've got some nice green lights. They wrap them all the way up the pole along the beams, and I'm sure there were probably, like I said, WDI and maintenance came in and helped, as well as the interns and the full-time staff. So it was a total team effort. But they've got some other displays in here that you can see some gifts on the right there, and pulling up ahead. This has been there for a while, and I really like this. This is kind of like a harvest cart, and they put, looks like they put different things they harvest on there. Again, we didn't have that when I was there, but I think it really adds just a nice touch from the guest perspective. It's just something to look at. It's just something neat to look at. I mean, now that's cool. All right, so
I love this.
That's the shot right there.
That is a nice shot. So this is the string greenhouse. We called it the string greenhouse. It's also the production greenhouse. This is probably the closest thing you're going to get to kind of mimicking what, if you were to go into a greenhouse in, say, North Carolina, or I'm in Pennsylvania, some of the things you might see for crop production in some of the greenhouses. It looks like maybe the tomato trees there on the left. That's been a really big hit. They actually, the year I was there, they set a Guinness Book of World Records for most poundage of tomatoes taken off one plant. I don't remember what it was, but it was a lot, and that thing grew and grew and grew forever. But I really like what they've done with the lights. Again, that Christmassy, that ambiance, that feel is there, and you just a straight shot down right through it, and it just, like you said, Andrew, you just relax, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
If only I could have a drink while on the boat.
That would be great. We used to get drinks. A little sidebar. We used to get drinks and take them on El Rio de Tempo, We used to go get a margarita and then go hop on that and take them. And at some
I was
point,
actually thinking about that the last time I went on that, and I was like, you know what would be awesome?
that was a great one to go get a margarita, frozen margarita at the margarita stand, which has moved like 18 times since I was there. But get a drink, go on that ride, and just sit there and just chill. And then at some point, someone put the kibosh on it, and we were like, "No, that's terrible." But yeah, a nice slow boat ride to have a nice sipper, perfect.
If there's any ride in all of Walt Disney World that you should be able to have a drink on, I feel like it's this one.
Yeah, followed by maybe the People Mover. I don't know.
The Skyliner.
Oh, the Skyliner would be.
Skyliner.
There's several slow movers where you're like, man, I could have a drink on this and it would be great. You know, it's
It's
funny. I've been bugging my old student coordinator Les, who still works here. Great guy. I'm like, Les, you know what would be really awesome is if you guys grew some 2-row barley and some hops, and Disney gave those ingredients to maybe Crooked Can Brewing, which is right around the corner in Winter Haven, and they made a beer made out of ingredients from living with the land, and they sold it at the Food and Wine Festival. And he was like, yeah, that's great. He goes, but the only problem is we can't get hops to grow in here because it's way too hot. But I think that would be awesome. I would definitely buy that beer every time I pass by that stand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll do a separate broadcast about the top rides to drink to or drink on.
That would be a good one.
I love the eggplant tree here. This is, I mean, the lights going up. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like with the eggplant tree, they kind of took a page out of that tomato tree. So they've decided, hey, we've had a really good success with this tomato tree. Let's try and make other stuff like a tree. So they'll grow it up lines, and they'll train it, and they trim the leaves and grow it up and up and up, and then eventually it goes across the top of that trellis, and the eggplants will just drop down. You got to go out there and pollinate the flowers. I have a little vibrating wand where you go and you're like brr, 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 to the flowers.
You got to do the work that the insects can't.
They do release some insects in there, but they're mostly predatory insects to battle other insects that come in and attack the plants. And there are a myriad of, and that's a whole nother conversation, a myriad of pest problems in there. But yeah, we're basically the pollinators when the pollinators can't be the pollinators. So, and it looks like we're still heading down through the string greenhouse here. You can kind of see a little bit up ahead, the white trays, and everyone knows that's where the lettuce grows. I actually helped install that system back in 2005. It's called the NFT, nutrient film technique. So what they do is they put a plug of lettuce in a slot in that, and there's a pump, and it just pumps nutrient solution up and down, up and down. So it's like a river of and the roots go down into the channel, and eventually the lettuce blooms up. Now, the lettuce is probably the number one thing when you're in a restaurant where you can say, like, there's a good possibility that this lettuce could have come from the greenhouse. But the thing is the harvest only happens like once every couple of months or once a month. I don't know what the time frame is. So, you'll hear people say like, oh yeah, you can go to the Garden Grill and you can have, produce from the boat ride. Well, yeah, that's probably true, but chances are you're probably not eating anything from in there. Sorry, I pulled the curtain back a little bit and ruined some of the magic for some of you guys out there.
You don't have 60 lettuce trays back there where you just bring a new one out each day.
Yeah, honestly, that system right there is enough lettuce for that restaurant. It'll probably go through it in a couple of days. I mean, they use a lot of food up there, so.
I mean, the restaurant's constantly moving, right? So they got to use a lot.
On the move.
The full rotation of it just contributes to more food use, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're still in string. I don't know what that is. There's no sign. It could be another eggplant. I'm not really sure. I'd have to look at the sign.
So how long have they been doing this overlay? Because I went in 2014 and we went around Christmas time. I probably rode this December 27th, and there was none of this.
2018 was the first year, so this is the third year that they've actually had it out there. And I don't really know that it's changed that much. I think it's for the most part been been kind of the same, but I mean, like again, to me, the wow factor, I could see it every day for the entire month and never get tired of it. I think we're at the end now of that string greenhouse, and I think the next picture is going to transition us into. They call this the creative greenhouse. It's where all the really niche, like oddball stuff happens. So up ahead on the right, you'll see the flying squash plants, because they come out of that box and you can see the roots hanging down. So that's just another way that things grow. Obviously, soil is just a medium to provide support and nutrients for plants. Plants will grow without it, i.e. previous greenhouses, you see things growing in sand. So we have irrigation that we have to put. When you do a planting, you have irrigation. You have to put, some plants take irrigation tubing under the sand. Some plants take irrigation stakes where they spray down, but we're spraying a nutrient solution down onto those roots and providing them with the pH and the nutrients that they need to grow. So same concept with those flying squash plants. They go through that box, they get sprayed with nutrient solution, and they come out just so you can see them, and then they go back into the box. Same thing with these flying cylinders here. They've got like that one right there is lavender. There are various there's marigolds. There are some various herbs that they've grown in those things, but there's basically just a microjet that just jets the nutrient solution straight down them, and then it gets pumped back up and just kind of circulated through the tanks. I really like those light spheres, though. I'm not really sure where those came from, but I mean, again, they look really cool. And I really like, they've added a lot of things. Like you can see the sign behind it, Happy Holidays from Living with the Land. Like just all these nice little touches that just really bring this all together and tie it up nice in a bow.
Yeah. I like that they added a welcome back sign, which they, once the parks reopened, that was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the left, it looks, so one of the systems they've developed is, there's a fish tank on the bottom and there's plants on the top. So what happens is they feed the fish go poo-poo in the water, and they pump that water and they water the plants. They irrigate the plants with it. So the nutrients from the fish actually give the plants nutrients to grow. And it's sort of like one of those symbiotic relationship kind of things, but it works. And then ahead on the right there, that's the Biotech Lab. If you've ever seen the Mickey's Mini Gardens, there's actually a USDA employee that works in that lab. Actually, the job just popped up on the job boards. I guess whoever was in there is retiring. It might be Dolores. I don't know. I don't even know if she was still there. But so the USDA pays to have an employee sit in there, and they do biotech research, but they also sit in there and they take they'll take cuttings of plants and they'll put them in a growing medium, and that's how you get the little Mickey mini gardens that they sell out at the gift shop. That's where they make them. But this greenhouse very much showcases a lot of like, cutting edge things that may or may not be on the cusp of being out there in the wild. So
I want to deep dive on the Biotech Lab. So
here we go.
So there's one employee at a time potentially. That's assume daytime.
There's one full-time employee, but I don't think they're a cast member because they work for the government. So there's one full-time employee, and then there's an intern always in there. So there's generally, any given moment when you ride by, there may or may not be two people sitting in there.
Because I think I saw two people once, and I was
right. So one's the USDA employee, and the other one is just going to be one of us interns.
Okay, and then my follow-up question is, I know on the side, I don't know if you can see it in this picture, but on the side, maybe on the far left of the Biotech Lab, they have today's research, and they have whatever they're researching, whether it's a plant. Is that accurate, or is that just?
Oh no, yeah. They have, and they have different tasks that they have to do when they come in. So, and like I said, the government employee, she's in there, and they're actually doing research. They're making the mini gardens, but they're actually doing. I forget what they call it, but they're doing research on like taking cuttings and splicing, putting them in growing medium, and growing plants from cuttings. There's genetic research that goes on. So they'll go out and they'll swap the signs out. They actually have signs in there, and they'll go out and they'll swap them out based on what they're doing. But yeah, that's I would say that's accurate. when
Okay.
you drive by and see that. So
That makes me happy. I think we can move on.
And this
Love
is
the
the
tunnel.
end. Again, the last tunnel kind of going out. It gives you that, like coming in, gives you that Space Mountain, end of Space Mountain effect. That boom, 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 when you slow down. But again, just kind of like, hey, you're exiting, and here's a nice row of lights just to kind of soothe you as you move forward. And then after this, you're in that funky room with the loud beat music. So this is someone standing. So the Biotech Lab is to their back. So they're just taking a shot down as a boat's coming through. Just thought it was neat to get a couple shore shots in there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, these were taken by the full-time staff. So I don't want anybody to think that guests were just in here wandering around, taking photos at their will.
I like it. This one you can see like the little test tubes just in the corner there.
Yeah. And there's the inside of the Biotech Lab. So all those little vials sitting on shelves there are all Mickey's mini gardens that they've propagated, and they're just waiting for them to take hold, and then they'll box them up and send them out to the gift shop. But they did a really nice job decorating that lab with with the snowflake lights inside. Even the nice touches with the balls, the garland, the stockings. I mean, just again, it all adds to that overall like Merry Christmas feel, and I can't get enough of that. I'm a huge Christmas decoration lights guy, so this is right up my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think we'll have to do a separate deep dive on your own display, Micah. I'm wondering about all the decorations they put up. So when I went, so I was in Orlando for a couple of weeks in November, and I only rode living with the land once. But they obviously they were starting to put up decorations. How long does this process take to get everything into kind of the full effect here?
I don't know. I've never really kind of been around when they
Mhm.
start doing it. I would say it probably takes them 3-4 weeks max. It's probably something where they start putting a lot of it up. We're not talking Magic Kingdom, the day after Halloween level.
Yeah.
So they probably start putting some of it up where it's there, but you don't know it's there. And then I would say some of the stuff, more visible stuff, like the decorations in the window, they probably will be like the last thing to go up. And I would imagine, and again, I can't say this for sure just because I haven't been there, but I would imagine they probably have an after-hour shift where all the interns come in and do what they can. Now, when you're talking the stuff like the lights down the tunnels, that's probably done by somebody in maintenance because those take special brackets and they've got to put them up and put the lights up. But things like hanging the stockings and putting the balls in the window can probably be done by anybody. So they probably have like a night shift where they'll come in and they'll work overnight and get all that done so it's ready for the next morning. Or they may get up really early and come in and finish it up in the morning. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've had to get up where I've had to do a crop pull. I've had to get up and be in there as early as like 5 o'clock because it takes a couple hours to get it done, and then got to get that crop pull done and get it all cleaned up before the ride opens. And again, everything that's done is all done on. Got to get it done before the ride opens and guests come in, and that's their mantra, anyways. I mean, like I said, Halloween night to the November 1st is complete transformation. So.
But it's not. They're not shutting it down like Haunted Mansion Holiday over at Disneyland,
shut
where
down.
it's like 6 weeks to swap the whole thing over or something.
And then once they're done with all of the decorations here, I assume they move on to Journey with the Imagination and put the sweater on Figment.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just the one.
But probably some grouchy third shift maintenance guy. He's like, "Oh, let's go. We got to put the sweater on this dragon again."
I think this is our last picture. So, Micah, do you want to conclude the tour?
Yeah, so this is just another shot from, it looks like they're standing on the shore, just of those, those lighted spheres. It looks like there's some snapdragon floating around there. Maybe some basil over there on the left. Again, just some nice herbs and spices. But, everything they've done, I feel like fits where they've done it. So you've got walking all the way back, you've got the little LEDs that are kind of buried under the sand. You've got the lights that wrap up along the the support pillars and some of the longer greenhouses. I mean, you've even got these great little spherical colored balls that work really well in the pea gravel, and everything they've done fits. And again, this says in the three, this is, like I said, this third year they've done it, but this has become an absolute fan favorite. And I feel like if they ever take it away, it's probably going to get the like Ohana noodles level of complaining. So, I'm really happy that they started doing this. I would have just died and gone to heaven if I would have got to do this when I was there. But I'm really happy that the interns for the last 3 years have gotten to take part in this and say, hey, I had a hand in that, and something that's extremely popular just is really cool to me. So that's kind of the overview of the Living with the Land holiday overlay. Got some great photos. Like I said, thank you to the full-time staff. If you're listening, really appreciate you letting me use these. Yes. Guys do a fantastic job. And I will be back. I will be reaching out. So see you soon. See you real soon.
All right. Well, I think that's about it here. Thanks, Micah, for taking us around, doing another tour on Living with the Land. And that's it for this Park Rovers Live. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.